Before the devil there was light, before sin, before fire, before the fall, there was perfection. Lucifer, the morning star, the brightest among the host of heaven. He was not always the enemy, nor the shadow, nor the serpent whispering in the dark. Once he was glory itself, radiant beyond all others, second only to the Creator. His voice led the choirs of heaven. His wings spanned eternity. His beauty was the kind that could make even angels weep. But light always casts a shadow, and even in heaven, perfection can rot from within. Lucifer's name meant bringer of dawn. He was the symbol of divine brilliance, of purity and purpose. But among the songs and praises, a question began to form within him, a small silent thought, one that even angels were not meant to have. Why not me? Why must the throne belong only to him? Why must all worship flow in one direction? The seed of pride was born, and pride, even in heaven, can burn brighter than faith. Lucifer began to see himself not as a servant, but as an equal, a creator of beauty, a bringer of light, not a vessel for it. He gazed upon the heavens and saw not a kingdom, but a cage. In secret, whispers began to spread among the choirs. Some angels listened, for Lucifer's words were honey and flame. He spoke not of rebellion, not yet, but of freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to rule, freedom to be more than just a reflection of divine will. And soon a third of heaven's host turned their gaze toward him. The Creator knew. Of course he did. And when the Almighty's voice filled the heavens, the stars trembled. Lucifer was summoned before the throne. "Son of the morning," said the voice that shaped existence, "your heart is proud. You seek to raise yourself above what you were made to be." But Lucifer did not kneel. He raised his head, and for the first time light defied light. "I seek only what is fair," he said. "You made me bright, but chained my brilliance to your shadow. You call me servant, but I am your reflection. If I was not meant to shine, then why give me the fire?" And for the first time in all of time, heaven fell silent. In that stillness, a single heartbeat echoed, one of defiance. Lucifer turned away, and those who believed in him followed. They say the war in heaven lasted but a moment, and yet forever. No mortal tongue can describe its sound. It was not swords and flame, but the tearing of existence itself. Love turned into hate, loyalty turned into rage. Michael, the archangel, led the armies of heaven. His voice thundered through creation. "Who is like God?" Lucifer answered not with words, but with the light of his rebellion, a brilliance that could blind even the holy. And for the first time, heaven bled. They clashed in storms that shook the cosmos, their wings scattering galaxies, their fury birthing stars. The sky burned with the light of betrayal, but in the end heaven does not lose. Lucifer fell. The morning star was cast out, his light torn from the heavens, his name stripped of its glory. He plummeted through eternity, his wings aflame, his voice still singing even as he screamed. And when he struck the earth, the world cracked. Where he fell, fire rose. Where he lay, darkness took root. And from the ashes of an angel, the first shadow was born. He opened his eyes and saw not heaven but hell. It was empty, silent, endless. But in that emptiness, he found something new, something that had never existed before. Power. He stood, broken yet unbowed, and he laughed. For though God had cast him down, he had also given him something he could never take back, a kingdom of his own. Lucifer built his throne upon the ruins of his fall. The fire that once sang praises now burned with wrath. He gathered the fallen, those angels who had chosen freedom over obedience. To them he said, "We are not lost, we are liberated." And hell was born, not as punishment, but as a monument to rebellion, not as a prison, but as proof that even the divine can bleed. Lucifer's crown was made of defiance, his throne of flame and bone. And from his voice came a new gospel, not of salvation, but of choice. Better to reign in hell, he said, than to serve in heaven. And the flames cheered. But the story you were told, of horns and pitchforks and red skin. That came later. That was their story, not his. For the victors write the scripture. And heaven could not allow the world to see the truth, that their brightest angel had not fallen by madness, but by will. So they painted him as a monster, a deceiver, a serpent in the garden. But think of it. If evil came from choice, then it came from the same gift given to man, free will. And if Lucifer was punished for choosing, what does that say about the freedom you were promised? Perhaps the devil is not the enemy of God, but the consequence of his perfection, a flaw he could not admit. Because where there is light, there must be shadow, and where there is obedience, there must be rebellion. Lucifer became both. The balance, the contradiction, the proof that even paradise is built on control. So the next time you hear his name, do not think of horns and fire. Think of an angel standing before the throne, refusing to bow, the first to say no. And that no changed everything. When Lucifer fell, heaven called it victory, but victory has a strange way of echoing. Because something changed that day, not just in heaven, but in the heart of creation itself. The first sin was not pride. The first sin was rejection. Lucifer had been cast out not because he was evil, but because he had dared to question perfection. And perfection does not forgive questions. In the silence of hell, he remembered the light, the music, the warmth of creation before it turned cold. He remembered what it felt like to be loved, and that memory was torment. They say hell is fire, endless and cruel. But for Lucifer, the flames were not punishment. They were reflection. The fire was him. The brilliance that once lit the heavens now burned inward, consuming him, reshaping him into something new, something divine, and yet utterly forsaken. And in that pain, he realized something the gods had not. He could create, too. So he did. He forged a new realm from the ashes. Not heaven, not earth, but something between. A mirror of what was lost. A place for the broken, the forgotten, the defiant. And from his will came beings of his own design. Demons, yes, but not monsters. Spirits of fire and will, shaped in rebellion's image. They did not worship him, they followed him. Because Lucifer did not demand obedience, he demanded choice. That was his gospel. The freedom to choose damnation over blind devotion. But even in his new kingdom, Lucifer was not free. Because light cannot exist without its opposite. And the same creator who cast him down would soon create something new. Man, mortal, fragile, yet made in his image. And for the first time since the fall, Lucifer laughed. He looked upon humanity and saw the same flaw he once bore, the spark of curiosity, the hunger for knowledge. And he knew. The story was about to begin again. The garden was perfect, too perfect. No hunger, no pain, no questions, only obedience. And in the center stood the tree of knowledge, its fruit glowing like captured stars. But man was forbidden from touching it. "Eat of it," said the voice of heaven, "and you shall die." Lucifer watched from the shadows. He saw the beauty in the woman's eyes, the wonder in the man's heart, and he remembered. He remembered what it was like to be told no. So he took a form that could not be recognized. A serpent, yes, but not the monster you imagine. He came not with fangs, but with words, soft, honest, tempting not with sin, but with truth. "You will not die," he said. "You will awaken." And Eve reached for the fruit. That moment, that heartbeat, changed everything. Heaven saw rebellion, Lucifer saw creation. For the first time, humanity chose. And choice is dangerous. When the fruit was eaten, innocence died. But consciousness was born. The world gained knowledge, and with it sorrow. But sorrow is the price of freedom. Lucifer did not destroy paradise. He exposed it. And so, he was cursed again. This time not as angel or light, but as evil incarnate. The serpent was crushed beneath the heel of Scripture. The morning star became the devil. Lucifer's story was rewritten. His rebellion turned into heresy. His question turned into sin. They said he corrupted man, but maybe he completed him. Because what is humanity without the power to disobey? Without the fire to ask, why? Even now that spark burns in every mortal soul. the voice that whispers in the dark when the world demands silence. It is the echo of that first angel who said no. But centuries passed, and fear grew. Men built churches on trembling ground, swearing loyalty to heaven but haunted by hell. The priests spoke of a fiery pit, of torture and sin, of a horned monster waiting to claim souls. And every time they spoke his name, Lucifer, the people shuddered. But fear is power. The church needed an enemy, and so the devil became one. Every doubt, every sin, every flaw of man was laid at his feet. He became the perfect scapegoat, the villain that made heaven seem holy. And in that way, Lucifer still served the Creator, because even in rebellion, he fulfilled the purpose of divine order, to make obedience look righteous. But stories are never one-sided. In secret texts, in lost gospels and forbidden verses, there are whispers. Whispers that Lucifer was not just the first rebel, but the first martyr. That he fell not from pride, but from love, a love too great to obey blindly. That when he saw humanity being crafted, he refused to bow not out of hatred, but because he would not worship what was not divine. And for that, he was damned. Imagine it, the most beautiful being in all creation, punished for loving too deeply, for seeking truth too fiercely, for refusing to kneel. Is that not the most human sin of all? Time blurred, empires rose and fell. Lucifer's name passed through tongues like a curse, yet it never vanished. He became art, poetry, symbol, the embodiment of the eternal struggle between control and freedom. To some he was still the villain, to others the first revolutionary, but to those who truly looked he was both, because Lucifer is not just a being, he is a mirror. When man gazes into him, he sees the reflection of his own defiance, his own hunger for meaning. Every tyrant fears him, every free soul understands him, and maybe that was the plan all along. Because what is God without the devil? What is heaven without hell? What is good without the choice to be evil? Without Lucifer's fall, creation would be flawless and lifeless. He gave existence contrast. He gave choice a cost. He gave meaning to obedience by breaking it. They say that one day, at the end of time, heaven and hell will face each other again. The armies of angels will descend, the trumpets will sound, and Lucifer will rise from the pit, his chains shattering, his wings restored, not white but burning gold. He will stand before the throne once more, and when the Creator looks upon him, perhaps there will be no hatred left, only understanding. Because the morning star never stopped shining. Heaven just stopped looking, and maybe, just maybe, he was never the devil at all. Maybe he was the proof that even perfection needs rebellion to stay divine.